The Refugee, The Rebel, and That Day. These are some of the names of the commercials in the He Gets Us ad campaign, which, by the way, is the largest campaign ever dedicated to making the name of Jesus great. In fact, in the 2023 Super Bowl, they spent $20 million on 90 seconds of airtime. Maybe you're wondering, well, what is this campaign about, or who's behind it? Well, we got you covered in this video. When we first saw the He Gets Us ad campaign and some of their commercials, we were blown away. Their quality was like nothing we'd ever seen. We had heard about stories about this new ad campaign that was going to be coming out, but we were really shocked to see the quality of the actual footage. It was a story that really made Jesus' name great, but one of the crazy things about them is you don't immediately realize that they're Christian commercials. They subtly kind of weave in there with some of the issues of our day, and then at the end, usually the last 10 seconds, they pivot so that you realize the whole time we've actually been talking about a story about Jesus and from his life. It's really a powerful effect. Most of the videos are just black and white photography that pan and do a slight what we call Ken Burns effect, where they zoom in very slowly, and it really makes a big impact. All of the photos were actually taken by the campaign, and they've invested hundreds of thousands of dollars in the creative of just making these commercials really work. So the point of the whole campaign is for someone who's maybe open to the idea of having a relationship or learning more about Jesus, that they would actually be able to get onto the site and start to make a connection and just do enough to pique their interest and have other people come along their side and help them take that next step to go closer in their relationship with God. You've probably seen some of the commercials already, but some of the things they have in common is that they're all 30 seconds. Most of them are done only in black and white, and they have really moving music that goes behind them. And every single one of the commercials ends with a unique tagline. Here's some of the examples. Jesus felt heartbreak. Jesus had to control his outrage. Jesus rejected resentment on the cross. Jesus was canceled. All things that are pertinent to our life right now today. And the idea behind it is that Jesus should feel relatable to each one of us. And when someone feels like they can relate to Jesus, they're more likely to explore what Jesus would have to speak into their lives. So the obvious question when someone sees the commercial is, what is He Gets Us? So someone goes and they get onto the He Gets Us website, hegetsus.com, and then they start to scroll through. And from there, there's lots of next steps they can take. They can watch videos. They can read articles. They can sign up for prayer or encouragement via text messages. They can access Bible reading plans. They can connect with someone local, presumably from a church. They can explore their questions in an alpha group. And from the website, they can even get free gear like a t-shirt, a hat, or a sticker. In the end, the group is mostly about helping people make a connection with people that are following Jesus and help people grow in their faith. But if you're like me, you probably have some questions about who's behind this whole group. How are they funded and where are they coming from? Some of the most searched questions are, is the group Mormon, or what religion do they belong to? So we'll dive into some of that. If you're wondering what religion He Gets Us is, it's not actually tied to any specific denomination. You could say it's obviously Christian because they're promoting Jesus, but there isn't one specific denomination behind the campaign. On their website, they describe themselves as Jesus fans and followers, so you can take that for what it's worth. I think it's actually wise that they're trying to avoid any kind of classification, because the moment you do that and you decide that we are for Baptists or we're for Presbyterians or we're for Catholics, you immediately alienate an entire group of people that maybe have some kind of a reputation or experience with those groups. So they wisely have avoided any of those major labels. It's also probably important to note that the He Gets Us campaign is not affiliated with the Mormon Church. Of course, we don't know all of the donors to the campaign, but there isn't any kind of a donation from the Mormon Church as far as we can tell. As far as their legal setup, the He Gets Us campaign is actually an LLC of a group called the Servant Foundation. They're a group that was set up in the year 2000 in Missouri. And they're actually managed by a group called the Signatory, which is a group that actually promotes gospel messages and has invested over $4 billion into faith-based nonprofits. Or maybe you're like me, you're wondering who's funding these ads. Well, there's a diverse group of people that are actually behind the financial aspects of this project. And as you might imagine, in most cases, they'd like to to
keep their donations anonymous.
One person we know who is contributing to the He Gets Us campaign is David Green, the founder and CEO of Hobby Lobby. He actually shared that information in an interview with Glenn Beck, where he talked about how much he loved this campaign and the big investment that they were going to be making in the 2023 Super Bowl. Sources out there say that Green actually donates half of Hobby Lobby's pre-tax earnings to faith-based initiatives. So let's talk a little bit about the Super Bowl ads. That's probably what they're going to be most known for. It's tough to say the exact amount because the 2023 Super Bowl, the advertised price is $7 million for a 30-second spot. And in this Super Bowl, they actually invested $7 million for one 30-second spot, and we can only assume about $14 million for an additional 60-second spot on the program. According to Religion News Services, the estimated investment that the He Gets Us campaign put into the Super Bowl was $20 million. They ran one 30-second commercial and one 60-second commercial in what we can only assume is the largest investment ever made in a commercial that promotes Jesus Christ. There's no better return on investment, if you can afford it, than putting an ad on the Super Bowl because so many people watch it. It's estimated that in the United States alone, 115 million people will see these commercials. Maybe you're wondering who's actually making the ads, and it's actually a group called Haven out of Grand Haven, Michigan. They are doing a fantastic job making commercials that obviously grab your attention and make an immediate impact. One of the things I think a lot of people don't really get about the He Gets Us campaign is that the intended audience is not for Christians. It's for people that maybe are skeptical about Jesus or have heard about Jesus but don't really have a relationship with him. They're trying to open up pathways of conversation. In my experience, all the criticism that I have heard of the He Gets Us campaign is coming from Christians who are saying things like it's just too woke for my taste. And really, it's supposed to be out there and it's supposed to be challenging people's thinking and help Jesus feel more relatable to people who are skeptical or maybe just curious about Jesus. Really, there's three main criticisms that I have been hearing about the He Gets Us campaign. And the first one is that they paint a picture of Jesus that's too humanistic. It looks too much like a man. They talk all about Jesus's humanity and they leave out his divinity. And I understand where they're coming from. These commercials are designed in such a way. They're not theological statements or trying to convince someone of a specific thing to believe about God, but they're trying to make Jesus relatable. So in trying to appeal to skeptics, I think it's a worthy cause and a great idea to appeal to Jesus's humanity and how he's so relatable to us. Again, that's why He Gets Us makes sense. Another criticism that I hear is that there's a concern that maybe we're too focused in these commercials about social justice and not real biblical justice. And while I could also understand that, and we'd love people to learn about biblical definitions of justice, you can't deny that in our world today, social justice is a value that people are deeply concerned with. If people are using social justice as a way for people to form a connection with God, I'm all for that. And the third, and probably the biggest criticism that I've heard of the He Gets Us campaign is, what does Jesus have to do with marketing? I mean, $20 million on Super Bowl ads, is that a good way for us to invest our money? Let's put it this way. Would Jesus spend $20 million on Super Bowl marketing? Or would he instead use that money for other causes like helping single moms or people that are in need or feeding the poor? I get it that $20 million can make a huge difference in hundreds, if not thousands of people's lives and can feed people for years and years. And at the same time, I think there is great value in introducing people to a Jesus that they can actually relate to. I guess the way I think of it is as people encounter Jesus through this campaign, they will be more likely to give their time, their talent, and their treasures towards doing the work that Jesus started us on. They'll be more likely to help those in need when they've had a real encounter with Jesus. So I guess I see where that criticism is coming from, but in the end, I really feel like getting the message out there to more people and introducing more people to a Jesus who they can relate to and they can have an interaction with, that will then inspire them to take on the mission of Jesus of helping those in need. So what does this all mean? Here's the bottom line. The He Gets Us campaign, I think there's lots of room for criticism and critique. You know what? There's plenty of things that I would maybe do differently, but in the end, I think this is a group of people that that have a real passion to reach people with the gospel of Jesus Christ. Is it exactly how every Christian should agree that this should be set up and our money should be sent? Well, no, absolutely it isn't. But in the end, I believe that people will be introduced to the good news about Jesus Christ through this campaign, and I, for one, am always a fan of that. But I want to know what you think. Do you like the He Gets Us campaign? Do you think the commercials are pretty good? Do you think that there's something wrong with them, that maybe we shouldn't be supporting something like this? Let us know down in the comments below.